I'm gonna call this meeting to order. And then I'm just gonna turn it on over to our town administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. As everybody knows, this is a favorite time of the year for me. I love working on the budget, but one of the fun things that we started a few years ago back was to kind of recap what we did last year, and I think that's really important, maybe as a result of the pandemic and the what we've experienced with that for the past 2 years. So we'll zip through this first part of this process tonight, and hopefully it'll bring back some fond memories, some big smiles, and a lot of, wow, we're a small city that does big things. And thanks to a lot of dedicated hard work from our team, Avery, the Public Works guys, the council, Mayor Gant, especially everybody that helps with these things, just makes me smile that we're a small town community that can make all of this happen. So it was exciting for Veterans Park. Obviously, that's a great photo from that. Now let me see if I can make it move forward. That's the key.
Let me show my eyeballs.
We battled a pandemic. We offered testing. We required the staff to be vaccinated. We provided masks, hand sanitizer to residents. We provided information, and we even had a GoVax mobile at the rec center. So we did well. We provide food to the residents as we continue to provide food, either in some cases door to door, other cases they drive through on Saturdays. The Victory Grace partnership continues strong as they sometimes take over the garage a little more than they should. So we're pleased to continue that effort. We have an outstanding Black History event every year, but the last two have been virtual, and this particular one was exceptionally great, and Avery did a great job again this year. But if you didn't recall, we did have fun with that. We've improved business facades. We did 4 different businesses with our grant from the state, the laundromat, Alcoa, and the fencing over on 46, and then glass contractors. So amazing changes in the buildings. We also improved homes in the community. This is just one example of what the home looked like prior to the grant, with the assistance with the facade and what it looks like afterwards. This program has been featured in write-ups in the state. Edmonston Beautiful was a dream of Shante Dabney, and it continues to click along. We'll have a new grant we'll be implementing here in the summer. We cleaned up the town. Our spring and fall dumpster days continue to be big time popular events. It looks like the gentleman Jose got tired and just sit down, but we will have that coming up on March 26th. We had fun with hats. Avery came up with a great idea to have people turn in pictures of them having fun with hats. And so we did get some of those. We had gift cards for them to Miss Cheryl's Shortcake. We won the Plant Award again, and it was actually for 2020, but we received it in 2021. We continue to be recognized by the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Forest Service for our efforts with our tree canopy. The tree inventory starts tomorrow, so if you see the Bartlett tree trucks around, you're going to know what's going on. We planted trees. We had an amazing event with a partnership with Abel's group, and we were named a Tree City USA for the 7th year in a row. So this is over at the garden planting fruit trees. We cleaned up the river. We had 25 volunteers, and we collected 25 bags of trash and recyclable material. Earth Day again this year is April 23rd, same day as the county's Growing Green with Pride event. We heard from residents how important their mothers were. Again, another project Avery worked on really hard, and we did get a couple of submittals on how important their mother was to them at Mother's Day. They received a gift certificate to shortcake. We provided a hand dune to improve 46th Avenue. Avery wrote her first grant and was successful with that. And we had a wonderful day with lots of volunteers helping to plant plants, pick up trash, and beautify 46th Avenue. The community garden, Mr. Johnson continues to manage it and do well with it. We have all 13 boxes spoken for again this year, and we have got some herb boxes that we can even get going. I noticed, Mr. Johnson, we got to poke some holes in the flower pots out by the gates. They're holding water really bad.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. We won awards. The Prince George's County Beautification Committee awarded us the 4th beautification award for Veterans Park. And it is a beauty for sure. There's always people there. We can really be proud of that event. We hired a new police chief and 3 new police officers. That was exciting for us. We were fully staffed for the first time in many, many years. So that's been a great, wonderful thing to have. And the officers have been wonderful in terms of working on the team. We honored our men and women who lost their lives. We try to do something for Memorial Day every year, and we had a virtual program that we do, and then we laid a wreath over at the sign in Veterans Park. 2 of our local veterans, Mr. Doyle and Mr. Luff. We improved stormwater management. We probably lead the way. In fact, the Chesapeake Bay notified me that they want to bring their whole staff here to Edmonston this spring to look at our rain gardens and tour our community and talk about the environmental efforts that we have. So very, very excited about that and be happy to showcase that. We have 10 gardens going in on Gallatin Street that will be this summer. We've provided residents with a drive-in movie experience. We partnered with Eco City Farms and offered a movie night over at the farm. It was fun event. I don't know if it was fun for Rick, bless his heart. We had some techno difficulties, but he was plowed on through, and we had a great evening. We promoted Bike to Work again as we host the rest stop at the Veterans Park each year for Bike to Work, and we're hosting again this year, and I hope that the police department with their new bike patrol can be a part of that. We celebrated Yard of the Month during the summer, lots of new winners. These are actually, all 3 of these are new winners. One was on Decatur Street, one was over here on Emerson, and one was over on 47th Avenue. The young couple with Mayor Gant and Councilmember Chester were getting married the next Saturday, I believe, or the second, two weeks after that picture was taken in their backyard. So they'd work exceptionally hard to make their yard look beautiful. We celebrated our graduates. Avery works night and day to identify the graduates and then make it special for them. The council, Mayor Gant, and everybody enjoys immensely showing up at their homes. This year, our day is scheduled on the Friday that the American Bloom advisors will be here judging the community. So they'll get to go with us and experience small town America at its best. We began recording the oral history of our community in preparation for our 100th birthday, and Avery can tell you probably exactly how many people were interviewed, but I know it was at least maybe 15 or more folks. But the big events of the project were interviewing Reverend Jerome Fowler about Adam Plummer, and then creating a panel discussion between former Mayor Adam Ortiz, Mayor Ben Kazarowski, and Mayor Gant. It was really good. You can see Mayor before and after there. His picture's up above his head there to the right. So when he was mayor here, he was a very young man. This was a picture, I don't know what we were doing, but we had some event, and so the police department wanted to have the whole staff in the picture, and this was them in all at one time. We hosted summer interns. Those young ladies did amazing work for us. So we embarked on a records management program, cleaning out records, and they translated and they culled and they indexed, and they did such a great time. End Time Harvest Ministry always provides us with outstanding young folks to help us during the summer. They also did a wonderful rain check rebate program for us that we developed virtually and offered it up to the residents. We were a banner city one more time, and that's due to the participation of the Maryland Municipal League, and a big shout out to Mayor Gant and her efforts, and all of the staff, Mr. Johnson and his efforts, and everybody else that participates in the municipal activities during the year. We were chosen to be one of the spotlight communities for this year's Maryland Municipal League, and will be highlighted for one whole year as they put together the video and show it at the conference. So very exciting for us. We planned for the future as we had Donzel with us for a couple of days, and worked on coming up with a lot of great ideas that we continue to now incorporate and build into our everyday life. We celebrated National Night Out Against Crime as Chief Gibson and the gang took to the streets and had a great job. I've forgotten how many hot dogs now, but we cooked and wrapped a lot of hot dogs. I don't know if it was 600 or 300, but it was a big number. So fun time for all, and hopefully an opportunity for the residents to get to know our police department even better.
Wasn't it a little over 700?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't it a little over 700 hot dogs?
Oh, it might have been. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it was a lot. We developed a partnership with MedStar to help Georgetown and created a series of videos for young people at Rogers Heights and also here in our community on these various topics, healthy snacking, your environment, your health, what are portion sizes. We then offered up free school supplies for any student that completed those videos and turned in that information and received then their backpacks of supplies. We added a Conservation Corps member again. This is our third one that we've had. We've applied and so far we're in the running to have a fourth one. We'll go through that process a little bit later in April, but we were selected to be a host site if we can come up with a match. And Bethany has worked on a number of things. She's brought us the beehive ordinance. She's working on pesticides. Her big initiative is a tree project, and she's going to be bringing you a new tree ordinance with proposing a new volunteer tree board. We hosted university students for a day of service. They like to kill me, one of the hottest days of the year, but we ended up having fun and got a lot of projects completed. We cleaned barricades, we cut limbs, we picked up trash, we painted the gazebo. We just had a wonderful, wonderful event. Mayor Gant got to spend a little time with them in the morning, and it was a hot day, but it was fun. We updated our police department fleet. I wanted to show this picture because this is what Avery and I deal with on a regular basis with our residents as we get to know each one of them personally and try to help them. We were trying to help this resident deal with a non-functioning bathroom, and we mentioned it trying to get some help from a contractor, and that wonderful Jose and his crew, JOM Painting, donated the work to transform that bathroom from the picture on the left to the picture on the right, functioning fully and able to help now that resident get maybe additional work done on his home. We repaired infrastructure and improved pedestrian safety. We had a storm drain and Taylor that was really bad. This is one of 2 drains that the town owns. That drain goes right under Taylor, right over to the pumping station, but it isn't the county's storm drain system. It's our own private one. So we had a bad cap on it, so we got that fixed. We added some flashing pedestrian lights on Decatur Street. We added a stop sign on Gallatin and Lafayette, and we added a bike lane on Taylor Road. So our HUR money goes to good use. And we did curb and gutter in a number of places. You see it here, but we did it over on Buchanan. We did it on 46th Avenue as we found bad places. We sponsored the first annual Edmonston Fitness Expo and Gun Violence Awareness Rally. It was an amazing event in the park. It was nice to get back outside after being with the pandemic. You can see all the popular elected officials that showed up. It was a really, really great show. We celebrated our Hispanic heritage with a festival. This year, we're going to combine the Hispanic Heritage Festival with the Edmonston Day event for a fall celebration. And I had to throw this in there. I was honored as a National Volunteer of the Year for America in Bloom, so couldn't pass that up. We participated in Growing Green with Pride. That's the Defensores de la Quince and the Anacostia Watershed Society. We planted 26 trees, 500 tulip bulbs, and I see all those bulbs coming up in the rain gardens, and we picked up 300 pounds of trash. We had over 75 people helping us that day. We added some arts and culture to the town. Our little art gallery is very popular, although we do have some problems with vandals taking things out of it, but it makes big news all the time. It's about to make news again. One of the local TV stations is going to be featuring it. Our partnership with Operation Arts and the food pantry. We had fun at Trunk or Treat. We delayed because of weather, but the police department and town had fun. Avery and I had fun taking surveys. So, and the officers just did an amazing job. I think this has become one of our most special events during the year. We decorated for Halloween around town. We had first, second, and third place winners. We honored our vets on Veterans Day. We delivered breakfast to each of our veterans. Mayor Gant, Avery, and I had fun doing that. And then we celebrate milestones occasionally. It happens that we knew that our local resident, Glenn Lawrence, was turning 90, and so we showed up on his birthday with a cake and balloon. We did surveying and listening. We surveyed and we surveyed some more. We ended up with almost, I forget now the final number, but it was over 100 surveys. So we beat the bushes a lot to make that happen. We're in the final stages of that study as we expect to have a strategic direction on that in the next few weeks. We provided domestic violence awareness information to our residents. Chief Gibson did a good job with that program, and Officer Van Buren served as the MC. We held a business meeting. We're getting ready to schedule the next one on this side of town. This one was over on 46th Avenue. It was a little bit of a chilly morning that we showed up, but USA Party Rentals hosted it for us, and we had some good questions and good feedback. We built a food pantry, and it has become very, very popular. It is getting used greatly. It slowed down just a little bit now that it's getting warmer, but during the winter, it was being filled up about weekly, sometimes more than weekly. We brought Santa Claus to town. We lighted a holiday tree in Veterans Park. We celebrated the holiday season with a yard decorating contest. We had Edmonston children shopped with the cop. We prepared for Adopt a Child. We raised over $6,200 and helped 62 children have a much brighter Christmas as a result of that. And finally, the end of the year, Santa came on a fire truck, thanks to the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department, as they brought Santa around to the community. So what a year. Thanks to everybody that made all of those events and activities possible. We look forward to a very full and busy 2022.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I always love seeing that because I think we're amazed. We should be amazed. I have an echo, but I guess I need to put my new toy on. I'm always amazed at how much we actually get accomplished in a year. It's a thing.
Actually doing it all during a pandemic year.
Right, yeah, yeah.
We really reinvented ourselves with some of that, some of those events. So
we actually get out and touch our residents. I think that's very important. And we put some smiles on some faces. Some might say they don't see us or they don't see us enough, but this definitely shows that we're out there doing the work, and can't do it, of course, without you guys, the staff that kind of holds it down for us. So thank you. That was awesome.
So, okay, it's budget time again, FY 22-23. Again, just to give you some overview of what we think about when we start this process, we obviously are always trying to hold taxes steady so we don't have to raise taxes. And once again, this budget's being put together with the assumption that you are not going to go outside of our constant contact and maintain our actual real estate property tax levy goes down almost 3 mils. We'll be down under the down to about 49 mils this year. So, and it still generates thanks to the valuation. And so people, you can look at that in two ways. Your valuation on your home goes up, but your tax amount goes down as a result of the constant contact. There is a study group happening this coming year to relook at the constant contact. And you know, that was brought into play back in when they were trying to hold the line on tax increases and keeping people from cities and communities from gaining the advantage of higher valuation and that growth in tax dollars. So it
constant yield.
Yes, the constant yield rate. And
you were saying constant contact. That's all right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Constant yield rate. And so they are going to look at that. The legislature will obviously, out of that study committee, will probably come some recommendations. We'll be anxious to see how and what that does. I got your books out to you late today. I apologize profusely for not getting them out sooner. For some reason, it's just been a hectic time to try to get all this gathered up and together. We will persevere though, and by the end of the month into April, we'll have that budget put away again. I provide you the book with the pictures, but I also provide you a little booklet that I developed many years ago. It's called a Reader's Guide, and it will provide you quickly as an elected official quick information about the community. And what is kind of nice about it, it gives some statistics, some data, where 58%, according to the data from city data, we're 58% Hispanic in our community. It shows our crime statistics going way down over the period of time that it's listed in city data. Shows the value of our homes going up. And anyway, it's a quick reference. You also can look in here and see how some of the other county, some of the other towns and cities compare to us in tax levy. For instance, our real personal property levy for Edmonston in 21-22 was 0.5464, And just to give you an example, Cottage Cities was 0.5409 and Calmer Manors was 0.9235. So that big difference in Calmer Manor. You'd be paying some high, oh, there's Taz. Hey, Taz. Paying some big tax if you lived over in Calmer Manor. But there are other communities below us and there are other communities above us. If our tax rate is held at 0.4957 mils, then that means that if you have a $300,000 valued home, you're going to contribute $1,487.10 in taxes to the town of Edmonston. That helps keep us running all of our services that we provide. And so,
I'm sorry. Repeat that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so if you had a home valued at $300,000
okay.
at the tax rate that we have for this year, 0.4957, you would pay $1,487.10 in property taxes to the town. Now, remember, your tax bill has taxes for the county and all of the other entities that receive tax dollars. So you don't get off just paying that particular amount. Included in the Reader's Guide is our organizational chart. There's a quick salary chart there that shows this budget, the FY 22-23 was prepared again with a 3% cost of living raise and a 1.5% maximum merit pay. You can get something lower than that, but the maximum you can receive is 1.5% on your annual evaluation. We also include seniority pay, and that's only for anyone that's been here 3 years or more. They're rewarded for being part of the town, and they get $3 per month for every year that they're here.
Rod, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So page 14 of the Reader's Guide that has the county tax rates comparisons to other municipalities. And I'm trying to understand the rate that's listed here for Edmonston. Like the special, is it like the special taxing district rate, the 0.54?
That's our city rate, yes. That's what we levy for city services. This year it's going to be 0.49.
Okay. Oh yeah, because if you go to the following page, I guess this is from 2020 then, and not 2021.
Yes. This is 2 years back.
The following page has
right.
0.54 was in fiscal year 2020.
Right. They're continually changing these. I pulled this off the county website actually today, and I'd already had the previous years in there. But yeah, on page 15, that compares where the tax levies have gone for the last 10 years and where the assessed valuation has gone. As you can see, it's grown steadily, but our tax rate has decreased from 0.66 to 0.49. So yeah.
Okay, I was just confused about this.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Thank you.
Good. And then, as I was talking about salaries, it cost us for the 3% cost of living raise, it would cost us approximately $17,187. If everybody got a 1.5% merit pay, it would cost us $7,468. And if for our longevity pay, it costs $2,445. To give you a perspective on that, I included in there here the strategic plan information, and then our capital improvement plan as we continue to work through our projects and get them completed and get new ones on board. As you know, we still have Decatur Street debt. That debt goes out till April 1st, 2029. So we're getting closer. How many years is that? So we're getting much, much closer, and that amount is going down fast. And then the last, page 40, is a list of all of our equipment. It lists out the public works equipment. We don't have any general government equipment. And then the police department's equipment as of the latest acquisition that we got there. So then that we can jump over to the revenue, page 1. It's the summary page. We can go through each one if you want, but we can, and then we can bring it up on the screen if that would be helpful. I hope we can bring it up on the screen if Rod can do it. I have to find it. Okay. No. All right. I have to go about it a little bit.
With our new paint sprayer, that would be under equipment too, right?
Yes. Yes. Mhm. Yes, I didn't add it on there. It just came in a few weeks ago, and so I haven't got it on there. But definitely, it will be part of it.
Okay. We lost it and found it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the guys to actually get out and start using it.
That will be nice.
Okay, now let's see if I can bring it up. All right, is that got it?
Put my glasses on, I can see.
Okay. Okay, so we generate about $869,000 in real estate taxes for general purpose, and then we an additional $45,000 that goes to pay off of our bonds, which are the Decatur Street bonds. You can see vehicle releases. You can thank Chief Gibson and his crew. Look at the jump that it's taking. As you can see, through January, we were already at 23,000. We're if you extrapolate that out, that'll project out to be about $40,000 for the year. So we're towing a lot of vehicles. Our tangible personal property stays fairly constant. We don't see a lot of jump around in that. We lost some big ones, but we gained some after we lose some. And so that one stays right around that same number. That's one of the problems we have with our revenue sources. While a couple of three of the smaller ones maybe are growing, most of the bigger ones are not growing. And so that does keep us somewhat stymied a little bit with our expenditures. Red light fines and flagging. Fines and flagging is another big growth one. That's parking tickets. And as you can see, thanks to being fully staffed and Chief Gibson's efforts, that number is growing rapidly and is potentially going to be a whole lot more than the 17,000 that was budgeted for this year, obviously for next year. The red light fines, I can't figure the red line fines out. They are on a spiral, I think partly because of a staffing issue, but they are less than we've been taking in years now. And so either it's become well known and it's finally accomplished what they're designed to do to deter lawbreakers, or there's something else wrong. But we're going to see a dip in that revenue by a big number compared to last year. State income tax stays about the same. State police aid will actually go up. I don't get an estimate until after the budget year, so I can't really estimate what that will be. But because we're fully staffed, our state police aid is a formula that's based on our payroll, and I submit a grant every year to make that occur, and with the assistance of Chief Gibson. And we collect then our state aid over we get it quarterly. Our cable and franchise fees, again, staying about the same. No big number there. I think more and more people are using other options than Verizon or Comcast. We are in negotiations as we are part of a group, our INET group, and Sue Ellen Ferguson is the attorney for the INET group. We just had our annual meeting the other day, and they are almost at agreement with Comcast on a franchise cable agreement. So that will be making the rounds this year as we look to that. Won't provide us any big revenue growth, but certainly is a good thing to have that franchise figured out. We do generate $10,000 a year in equipment support grant, our PEG money, and that's the money that can go for updating our video equipment, anything connected to the INET, any equipment, computers that are in the police department that are part of the INET system, we can replace and use those funds to do that. And in fact, the only use for those funds. Mayor Gantz sent out a hallelujah today as the HUR bill cleared the House committee today to go to a full House, and that is to help restore our highway user funds. The estimate for this next year just came in, and it's less than what we had been estimated this year, but I think this year's estimate is dropping down too. So even if we get the 3% increase that they're talking about, for us, 3% isn't a huge number, $2,000, but that $2,000 is more than what we had before that we can use on our signs on our streets, improvements to our streets, speed bumps, whatever those things that are connected to the streets. Building permits, we don't know what they're going to be because we don't ever know what's happening or occurring in that arena. Amusement tax is pretty well stabilized. I think John has decided to keep the go-kart track open, and so we're going to continue to receive that to, approximately $10,000. Our apartment inspections, we have just the one complex, and that's $19,500. We haven't billed yet. That's why you see zero in the year-to-date actual. And that $19,500 is for 156 units. That's how many's at the apartments. The single-family rental inspections has been a growth area for us because Eric has done a phenomenal job working with Avery and I to identify and bill out people that have apartments in their homes. And so, as you can see, that's jumped up a little bit. The reason it's at low numbers now is because Avery does that billing in April. So it won't be reflected on here. Same way with trader's license up at the top when it says $1,100 that and it's budgeted for $34,000. That's because we haven't billed 125 licenses. And I can say that thanks to Eric's efforts last year, we were able to collect all of those 125 plus business licenses. He has a new software that he's using now. It's going to make it a little bit easier, and we're really happy that our new part-time code officers come on board, and so Anna will be a great value to help get those licenses out and get them going with people. You can see the rec center. We already are getting calls to start coming in on April 1st to rent it. I have one person said, "What time do you open?" I'll be there at 8 o'clock. So, so that obviously is going to generate some revenue. And then we have some miscellaneous income that shows up from different purposes during the year. The one sad note we have is our interest income. We have a lot of money in the bank, but unfortunately the interest rates after the pandemic hit just took a nosedive, and where they have not recovered at all. So we generate in all of what we're estimating for next year about $1.7 million in revenue. And if there's any questions on that, then any of those line items, I'd be happy to answer them. We're going to jump to some of our other areas.
Rod, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's the state income tax. Is that like what Edmonston residents pay? Like it's rebated, it's a rebate to us, or like a
yes.
By the state
Yes, it's our portion of that the legislature has allocated the state income tax back to the local communities. So that's why it's important when you fill out your tax return
Right.
that you put down that you live in Edmonston, Maryland.
Okay. And then is somewhere in these documents, is there just sort of like a statement of like the accounts right now, like what's in the rainy day fund, for example, and
Yes, yeah. Let me go up to the top and I can show you that number. You didn't get all these pages yet because we're still in the process of finalizing some of the budget numbers. But right there, right today, that
okay, yes,
their fund
that's sort of
$735,366. And that does not count the ARPA funds. The ARPA funds are totally separate. And that's another 700.
well, you have that listed here that looks like it's included in the proposed budget, but
Yes, we're going to go over the ARPA funds here in just a minute, but it's not the cash itself is not up in this calculation at all because this is the dollars for our general operating. I've got the ARPA funds segregated in their own sheet.
okay. And so column F is expenditures and column G is revenue?
Yes, if you go up here on the top, you mean? Yes. You see at the very top, there's expenditures, 2.5 million was this year's budget. As of right now, we don't have all the final numbers in. So the 2.4 is not a final number yet. And then here on, you see the recovery funds now pulled in with the 3.2 million and the 3.1 million. So we're going to generate in revenue 1.7. We're going to generate about 655,000 in grants, and then another $734,000 in recovery funds. I haven't calculated the cash carryover yet because we're still recording expenditures and getting budgets finalized yet.
Okay. You think you could share the final version of this page before our next budget meeting?
Yes. Yeah, we should have the
cool.
numbers by then pretty pulled together. I just didn't do it today because I just didn't have everything together.
Okay. And then I had one question on the red light camera thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worth, Chief, is that something that you can look into to figure out if this is actually like a decrease in offenders or if it's something else is going on?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. And we've noticed that there's been a decrease probably in the last 90 days or so. So I'll look into it and then I'll report back.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Chief.
Mm-hmm. I know in a previous employee that was with us, I know there was a problem with she wasn't certifying the, as they have to review all of those incidents, and she wasn't certifying within the time frame, and so they were timing out. I don't know if, I don't know how it all works. So that particular year we lost over $70,000 as a result of that. But
that's what I was remembering and was concerned might be happening again.
Certainly worth looking into. Thank you, Chief. Okay, any other questions on the revenues? Okay, we'll jump over to grants. Grants are obviously important to us. We write a lot of grants and are successful with a lot of grants, and I see a number I forgot to fill in. But these are the ones that are active right now. We have Safe Routes to Schools. We have our CDBG Crittenton Streetscape. We have CDBG Sidewalks. I'm sorry, that Crittenton Streetscape is actually paving Crittenton. And then sidewalks, and then we have the walking trail. We have our new, we have one over on Gallatin Street. We just were awarded another CBT grant to Prince George's County Stormwater Management for Hamilton Street. And then we have our Community Legacy Fund. So all told, if I can make it all happen, which I think we can, get all these grants closed in the coming year, then this is what we would see in terms of expenditures and dollars in revenue. I already talked a little bit about debt service, but we spend.
Rod, I'm sorry.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just before we move over, I wonder, would you mind, I saw that like donations are under miscellaneous under the general revenue category.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if we might want to include that, like, just to make it cleaner under like grants and donations or something like that. Something that's just sort of like unsteady.
Yeah, actually, we could create a line item for it. It's grown so much for us that, yeah, that's a really good idea. Is it under miscellaneous?
It is.
It is, yeah. Yeah, so that's a super idea. I will set that up as a line item. Because it's way over, it closes in, probably in a year, we probably collect almost $10,000 plus. So
Yeah, I think having, just a picture of that year over year would be really helpful.
Yeah, we get a lot of money for night out. Typically, we get lots of money for adopt a child. We get lots of money for other activities during the year. So American Bloom activity, whatever it might be. Good idea. Other things you want to look at in specific on the revenues? I did ask Jamina about what fee she would need to do the rec center sanitation, and she would want at least $80. So that would cause the cost to be $150 plus 80, so $230 for local resident and $330 for out of town. I can also try to get check with some other folks and see what cost I can find, if I can get that in lower. Any thoughts on that?
To me, that's a reasonable cost. To rent out the rec center, have it cleaned up afterwards. I think that's pretty good.
Okay, thanks, Vicky.
I know other places are a lot higher. So.
Yeah. The rec center, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning had a big discussion with us, because as part of that, don't forget on coming up on the 24th is the Economic Development Strategic Planning Night. But one of the things, they set up a meeting with Park and Planning to talk about the rec center becoming like a town center site for Edmonston as part of the recommendations out of that study. And we did have a good conversation, although the Park and Planning obtained that land through federal dollars, and in order to do anything with the land, that it would have to go through the National Capital Park and Planning Organization, and they do not take kindly to giving up parkland. In fact, they want more parkland. But there was some discussion about the building, and I had a conversation with Laura again and how we wanted to maybe do some upgrades with it, maybe do something to the back with a patio, and they're receptive to that. They have some CIP money that they maybe want to put in a futsal field, take out the ball field, the little backstop and stuff that nobody seems to use, and put in a futsal court. Futsal is soccer on a tennis court. And so they're gonna, I told them that you all would love to have that conversation with them to talk about how that park could be improved and what could be beneficial for our residents. So Laura, their planner, indicated she would be coming to you all to have that conversation. So I'm giving you a heads up on that.
I think a lot of that will depend on after they get the track in, what we really have up there to use.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me, maybe what a great resource that rec center could be if it were like a more of a dynamic space. You know, right now it's just kind of like 4 concrete walls. Whereas if it was a space where people could actually hold, like, you know, would want to rent it out for bigger events, we could use it for things, you know, that might be attractive to other municipalities and organizations in the area. I'm just thinking, you know, for us just to think a little bit bigger than what we have now.
The
Plus
interesting thing, Sarah, that Laura indicated is that park and planning are actually moving away from the small community center, neighborhood community centers, to the mega centers. And in fact, the one that they're in design and planning and development is one at PG Plaza, right near PG Plaza. The second one is at, what did she call them? Anyway, it sounded like she was describing the sports and learning center to a large degree, with the pools and the inside walking trails and the senior citizen spaces and all of that. And so they had one potentially planned for there at PG Plaza, one potentially at 450 and Veterans Parkway. She said they were working on trying to identify land there. So it's an interesting thing. She made a point to tell us that they were moving away from those, but you know, if we can convince them to use some of their capital dollars on ours, making it, even if one of the concepts would be to turn that back wall into doors that you can open. So, you know, big glass garage doors that you can pull up, and then you can spill out. Now, you know what happens when we do that? We create a whole new problem with noise related to the apartments.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
yeah, I'm saying it's going to create a problem with apartments.
Right. So there's pros and cons there both ways. Maybe there's some way we could shield it. I don't know, but it certainly would be a nice addition to be able to have, like you said, a little bigger event there, maybe do a little bit different kind of event there. We are gonna, Avery and Rick and I are working on the concept of a Wi-Fi cafe there to turn it into more of a center where there's classes and opportunity for using internet and that kind of thing is part of our ARPA money, but we'll see what park and planning will let us do.
Okay, so we would have a conversation with them to like share ideas, or?
Yes, that's their idea. That's the plan. I told them that was absolutely imperative that they do that.
Okay, yeah, because I could see something there too that maybe isn't like kind of traditional rec center, but maybe is centered more on like being a sort of green space, right? About sustainable living, or maybe like an art space of some kind.
Right. Yeah. A coffee shop, the mayor's coffee shop.
Certainly. I mean, offering it, like, I love the idea of, you know, that being something on Saturdays and Sundays, for example, where you could roll up and get your,
yeah,
you know.
Park and planning probably wouldn't. Miss Laura, I reminded her when we started, I've known Laura for a number of years. I said, please, Laura, keep an open mind and think outside the box. And I don't know, she didn't comment, so I don't know. She may not have appreciated it, I'm not sure, but it could lend itself to some really cool transformation that is different than some of the community centers that are out there for sure. Just because of its size.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. Let's see. We'll quickly jump to debt service and then finish up with the ARPA funds. So we already talked about, we pay about $44,000 a year in debt service for the Decatur Street improvements that occurred. Not all of that was covered with the grant dollars when that street was built, and there was some timing issues, and so that we're continuing to pay that down, but it's going down fairly fast. It's under $300,000. And that's our only debt service. So then the last one that I wanted to really cover with you tonight was the ARPA funds. And so as you can see, we've received $734,018 to date. We're going to be amending our budget to incorporate that into the budget. So I just went ahead and put it there in the 21-22 budget. And then in July, we'll receive $734,018 again. So that will be the total that we have to work with at all. If you look at expenditures, I marked the ones that we obviously know. We've bought the police cruiser, so that is reflected there in actual expenditures. And then we're working on bringing you a recommendation for a pickup truck in the Public Works. And then our display sign, as we're working towards, they're creating that concept for you all to see. He just sent me a note today to ask me another question about it, and so his person is designing that. So those are the things that you've talked about doing. Otherwise, everything else in the ARPA funds is undesignated, and I put the whole undesignated amount there for next year's budget. Obviously, you don't have to spend it all next year. You have till 2024 to obligate it, and then you have till 2025. I put a whole PowerPoint presentation in your book. It's really, really good. It's the state has a website and webinars that I attend every month, and am trying to learn as much as I can possibly learn about the ARPA funds. Avery and I had a long conversation with today, and then we reviewed Hyattsville. You all suggested doing a survey, and so I pulled up what Hyattsville has done in that area, and they had 3 questions on their survey. Had you received taken advantage of any of the programs from the state, county, and federal government? What kind of I lost my paper that had those written out, but what kind of hardship have you suffered during the pandemic? And there was a 3rd question, and that was it. That's all the survey they're doing on that. They are designated because they have $17 million. They are designating funds for residential, funds for business, and funds for nonprofit. And of course, you can't duplicate. So I'm
sorry, Mr. Barnes. The other one was, have you received any assistance from the rental assistance or mortgage assistance?
Okay, yeah. And so what they're asking now is for public input on, what people need, what kind of emergency relief they need, housing and utility assistance, food assistance, small business, or other. And you can either respond to the survey, or they have a card you can send back in. So Avery and I are and Patrick told me today, I talked to their manager. They hired a full-time manager for their program. And so I talked to Patrick, and he said to take and use anything that they want. They have a pretty robust website with resources, because there's so many resources out there. For instance, we helped to connect up a local resident with the mortgage program that the county has. We've connected up people with the rental program that's out there, although it's kind of a disaster, I think. But he said the interesting thing that they're finding is people just don't know about those programs. And even though the county thinks they've done this amazing job of pushing out the information. So so we hope to have the survey idea, some ideas back from you too after tonight's conversation, and then some kind of a teaser in the newsletter, and then trying to have some public input on the 29th March. So just more to follow on that, I guess, and just I'll sit back and kind of listen to comments from you folks.
I have a couple questions about the ARPA fund, but I know I've been jumping in first here a lot, so let me step back.
I'm glad you jump in and ask questions. So
Maybe I'll step back in then.
Yes.
So the new calculate, like this thing that the final rule allows us to do with the ARPA funds to make, if you get under $10 million, to make a one-time election to spend on government services through the period of performance under the lost revenue eligibility category. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we can kind of allocate the funds to whatever we want?
Correct. Let me give you the list. It's in your little book there, but I will. Construction of schools and hospitals, road building and maintenance, health services, general government administration, staff, and administrative facilities. In environmental remediation, provision of police, fire, and other public safety services, including purchase of fire trucks and police vehicles, and funds assigned to revenue loss can now be used to meet the non-federal cost share of many other federal projects. So if we have a grant, they're allowing us to use those dollars to maybe match where you can never use federal dollars to match another federal grant. But they're allowing these to do that. So that list isn't exhaustive. That's just what is out there. So you could use these funds for everything that we basically do in our general fund, in general government, public works, and police department. We could hire staff. We could build onto the facility here. We could use it to do our expansion project that we wanted to do a few years back and couldn't get grant dollars for. We could use it for improving streets. In fact, I'm going to bring to you to finish up Decatur Street repairs in phase 2 and 3 to go ahead and do that with these funds. We can do stormwater management. That's the other area that's key, and Wi-Fi broadband is key too, that you can do it, because we're going to elect to take the one-time option of the 10 million, because obviously we're getting only 1.4 whatever, so it makes sense for us to make that election and not go through the gyrations that it was going to have to go through to prove that we had a revenue loss.
Okay. So I wonder if we want to go back then to our strategic planning that we did earlier last year that you put in the books for us, Rod, I think, that prioritized things that we really wanted to address with the town. Because one of the top ones of those, as I recall, is dealing with like unsightly businesses. I'm not as enthusiastic about hiring staff because this isn't ongoing revenue.
Correct.
So that would make me nervous.
Correct.
And then I also wonder, it sounds like Hyattsville is looking at, they're asking about hardship. So it looks like they're thinking about giving some some of the funding directly to some of their residents?
Approximately, potentially, they don't have anything because they're all in there. They're reviewing things, but he talked today that maybe something like $2,500 if you can prove that you didn't receive other, you've got to meet a certain criteria, and that criteria is connected obviously to the IRS Treasury regulations for use of the funds. So you can't duplicate. So if I got rental assistance from the county, then I can't get rental assistance from Hyattsville. Or if I got, so he talked about, like if you were unemployed, if you could prove you were unemployed, you proved you had some outstanding medical bills connected to COVID, those kinds of things, then you potentially might be eligible for a payment. And he just picked, I think he just picked kind of $2,500 out of the air maybe, but because they're just having their discussions and getting their input and don't know where they're going to go. But obviously with $17 million, they can do some of that.
And also understanding Hyattsville has a huge apartment population there. So they were affected, a lot of residents were affected in that way, as well as their homes. So that's why they came up with that plan.
You mean like they would have already maybe been eligible for rental assistance?
Well, a lot of them have been. Well, all of them were eligible as far as applying. Now, if you were able to get the benefits, that's one of the things that they can carry or cover. But I'm just saying that they put that out there to provide monies for the residents, because I'm saying to us, just consider how many apartment communities Hyattsville actually has. It's a lot. And so a lot of residents don't take advantage of that. And I kind of disagreed with Mr. Barnes. They got the message. The message was out there. We even saw it during commercials. But the county screwed it up when they presented it. The county was not good at presenting it.
Yeah, I was going by telling you what Patrick said. The first 10 people he talked to said didn't know anything about any of the programs. I wasn't talking from me or from something here.
Okay. Yeah.
That was what Patrick told me.
Yeah, county, when they presented it, it was crazy. But now you even see commercials and everything. Tons of people have applied, but not everybody qualifies based on your income. You have to prove that either you lost hours or you didn't have a job, and this is the income of that we're bringing in now. But they've been paying. I know that. I mean, that's not where we're going to stay stuck. Or we have one apartment community, and they could tell us the numbers like right away. And then I guess a mortgage assistance would be another. But Sarah, I think, are you going to, the type of assistance we talked about with the strategic planning? Well, I don't even know if it was during our strategic planning, but we talked about helping with like flood mitigation and things like that. I think that was after, was that after?
That was after.
Yeah, that was after. Yeah.
And I think that benefits the resident, and it also benefits the town. If we, with the flood.
Preventive maintenance.
I suppose what I was wondering is if now that program though, I don't think be the full, it wouldn't be all the ARPA funds. And so when I was like our program to do like the individual flood mitigation.
Certain things could, right, Mr. Barnes? Certain things could fall under that.
I mean, stormwater management is a key component of ARPA funds, so we'd have to figure out and connect it to stormwater management. I haven't specifically asked the state. I can couch a question to them specifically about flood mitigation dollars to a homeowner for improvements and get an answer.
But I thought basically the funds were unrestricted if it was under 10 million.
They are somewhat unrestricted, but you would have to argue that that was a general government function.
I see. Okay.
And I don't know that that is a general government. I mean, that's not something we put in our budget every year to do flood mitigation on home owners' property.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha. So we do need to make sure we have clearance to do that
Yes.
with the ARPA
And so
funds.
what's so weird, excuse me, what's so weird is people don't generally budget to cover rents in apartment communities, you know, those kind of things. So we were affected by the pandemic. So I think proving that those issues, well, that issue wasn't based on the pandemic. But okay, we can build an extension to town hall, right? We can use the funds possibly. And I think that would be through grant. So we would have a grant and that could assist us with that grant funding on our portion.
No, we would not, there's no grant for us to use to go after money for town hall. We got denied legacy money and it doesn't qualify for CDBG. So if we want to do the $375,000 addition to town hall, we could just use ARPA funds.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
good, that would be great. But if we can do that, then that's not based on any type of loss from the pandemic.
Right.
That's them allowing us to use it for that reason. So I'm saying that, and compared to utilizing the funds for flood mitigation or stormwater management, is it something that we could set up for our residents with some guidelines? I think we mentioned this before, like with some guidelines or something to allow them to, because if you get what I'm saying, the extension on town hall didn't have anything to do with the pandemic.
Right. But I
But
think
we know that there's a problem.
but it's considered, it would be considered general government services, which allows us to,
Construction, right?
yeah, versus the flood mitigation program for our residents is not something that we would do, right?
But
Like
we
that's
do
not a program already under,
our budget.
yeah.
Right.
But we do provide assistance to our residents in certain, I mean, I think that we could look at it. Because I know that it's something that we all want to do to kind of assist in some way, like preventive maintenance, but how?
I mean, why don't we could do this, Tracy? We could just go ahead and like create a budget line that's a small budget line that we have every year.
Or grant program. Could
That's
we
like
set that up?
that's for flood mitigation.
Right,
And sometimes
right.
we're able to do it and sometimes we're not.
Right,
And-
yeah, certain criteria.
Yeah, so Rod, would that maybe cover us a little bit if we considered it like part of like the general services that the town of Edmonston provides to its residents?
Yeah, that would help. Remember that one of the things we have to meet, and we're just getting into all the reporting and requirements and all of that is, but we still got to meet the equity issues and the making sure that what we're doing is helping all across the population. And so just whatever program we do, even if we add on to town hall, when I write that up and report it, I have to do a 250 word narrative of the description of what that does and how it impacts our community based on these recovery funds. So anything that we do is like the mayor says, you're going to have to couch it around the requirements. And
I mean, in this way, like our community is almost 60% Hispanic, right? And so there's already like a disproportionate impact of the flooding because of that. The town hall question to me is a little more challenging because I think it's a little bit harder to show. And one thing I don't know if that's something that can really like directly benefit our residents. right? Like, no, I'm trying to understand that, right? Because it's something that
Well-
we would have to explain to our residents about why we spent $400,000 on addition to town hall if they think there's all these other needs that we could have spent that money on. That's what I worry about. I worry that it could seem a little self-serving, and I just don't want us to fall into that trap.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Sarah. The idea behind the extension, obviously, we're creating a meeting room, public meeting space for the public to use in lots of different ways. And so, if you recall, we were going to have Explorer meetings, Boy Scout, Girl Scout meetings, after school programs. So all
And we
kinds-
found ourselves creating offices. Whereas
Yeah, and in addition to the meeting space, but also we were creating offices and a locker room and for the officers and bathrooms, better bathrooms for the public and that kind of thing. So I in my eyes at least, I feel comfortable that I could probably write a really good story about how beneficial that extension is to all areas of the community and all nationalities. But on the other hand, I hear what you're saying, and it'll be interesting to see what people feed to you as their needs. I pulled up the Hyattsville, and I wanted to get the exact question that they asked on the survey, and it says, what type of financial difficulties have your family or business experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic? So that's all they're asking, 3 questions, and that's one of the 3. And the other one is, tell us about any county, state, or federal financial relief program you have utilized or why you haven't used them. So they're not asking for a lot of input necessarily, other than to say, what happened to me in terms of a hardship.
So this is a very long conversation to get to this point, but what I'm wondering then is if it would be useful for us to explore some direct payments to our residents as well.
I think we're
In
gonna
addition
end
to
up-
everything we've talked about.
I think direct payments to the citizens is going to be a very slippery slope. Everybody had hardships. Every business had hardships. And there's going to be years where a lot of citizens, their hardships are going to be great wealth, as in businesses, great wealth. Do we ask if a business, had a great year, they turn around and say, oh, give us some money now. A resident, there's probably not one resident or business in this town that did not suffer in some way. And to me, if a business or if a resident didn't apply for either federal, state, help from them, then I don't think they should be asking the town for help. I think they have to go through the chain. I, for one, with my business, it knocked me on my butt. But I didn't ask for any help. We made it by, we're still running, not as, as much as we have. But I'm hoping that in another year or 2, we recoup, and, it's happened before. We've hit rock bottom and it takes a year or 2 to recoup. And I think, residents giving them money because they, didn't work. Well, did they file for unemployment? Did they file for assistance through the state?
There's some checks and balances.
Yeah, I just think that, offering residents straight out money, here, sorry you had a bad year, but here's some money. I just can't go for something like that. I could go with someone that, with residents saying, hey, with the floods and all, we don't have gutters. That would help. Fine. If resident says, if we do with the floods, we've never had a sub pump. That would be something that would help. I can see doing things like that. But to hand citizens money because they had a bad year and didn't make as much, or, I'm not for that at all. Yeah. And going to the town hall, I tell you what, I can see where if we did expand it, one, everybody knows I want a new air handler system in there to, kill any potential germs that come through. But also, if we have the filter system, if we have a meeting place where the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Mama's little knitting group can come in and have a safe place, plus with our own staff, if they had room, I mean, we're busting at the seams with our staff.
We are.
And for their own mental health, it would be nice if they had their little area and they had something, not that my dog runs amok in town hall.
Well,
but when Cass comes in, she goes and sees everybody. And I tell you what, it's kind of nice because we kind of laugh and, play around, but they're on top of each other. And I think I wouldn't want to work under those circumstances. But
not if we have the potential to make it better.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be outside doing things, but I think we need the space.
Right.
One for the staff, two, a place for the residents to, come in. The green team comes in. I know it gets awful cramped in there. And wait till we start opening town hall for our meetings.
And sometimes you need dual locations, whereas one thing is going on and then another thing can be going on in another part of the building. And it could be income generating.
Yeah.
All right, Betsy, I'm persuaded.
And there's another thing that, not that there's competition or anything, they have, in some of the larger communities, I've seen it, but other than Colmore Manor, Bowie has a beautiful new town hall. Of course, we've all seen beautiful College Park. And I'm not sure what grant dollars they use or what funds they use, but that's a big ticket. So if there's an opportunity for us to be able to do that, because the reason they're all doing it is because expansion, growth. And the reason we have the opportunity to do it, and just like Mr. Barnes said, he can probably write that up and justify it. So if we have that opportunity, it's something that we don't have to put on our budget. We tried it through a grant, was turned down through the grant, which is odd for us, but we didn't get the grant. So this would help our budget, our future budget.
And it would keep our tax dollars to the residents down.
Well, that would, if we
we wouldn't have to
funding.
raise taxes to cover the funding.
Right.
And it also would help if we annex, we're going to need a bigger staff. I mean, our staff is great right now, but if we annex, we're going to need more staffing. So now back to the budget.
No, I mean, this is super helpful because I feel like you both are making the case for this in a way that I feel like residents could get behind. And so I just think it's
right. Yeah.
So that's really helpful.
Right.
We can put some of these items out. As I was sitting here thinking about, you all went back and forth on this idea, and Avery and I went back and forth about, do we want to list out the items that you're talking about here to get the public input back on them? So if if I can, I'm going to submit a question tomorrow to any of you to get the flood mitigation answer. On whether we can help folks with, like Betsy said, guttering or, foundation slope, or it's escaping me right now.
Sump pump, downspout.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. A rain garden, maybe a rain garden, because then we can pull in the rain tax rebate program also that helps with that. And so I'll get that question answered. But we can list these things all out on a piece of paper in our questions or in our surveying and say, do you favor using the recovery funds for these purposes?
So if we really could somehow or another get our residents to come to the Zoom, if we could really get them excited, because the residents know that we have this money. And if we could get them to attend a Zoom, and then during the Zoom, list the ideas that what we're looking at, but then ask them for their input and what did they see? Because like I mentioned before, they see one thing, they see all this money, and they might hear about all the millions other municipalities have received, but no, this is what we got. And what are your thoughts about it? And this is where we are. What do you think about what we're looking at? And maybe list them like you're saying and get their feedback from there, because you kind of give them some direction, but then you get the creativity of, oh, I was thinking of this, this, and that. And we can probably put some things in. I'm sorry. Ownership, yeah.
Ownership, which it should be a town. To me, the people in the town, like us, everybody should have a say, and at least have, bring their idea up.
Yeah. What's your thought? What do you think we could do with this money? Oh, I was thinking you could paint our parking lots, stripe our parking lots at Elizabeth's Landing. No, that's not what the money can be used for, because some people see money and they start thinking, well, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. Y'all need to do this for us. But if we could kind of list some things, but then get their ideas, you kind of put them in focus a little bit. It's just the thing of getting them here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Betsy.
I was going to say, if expansion, along with that, if anybody ever walked into the shed where we share with the church, those poor, it's a mess back there, and it is packed. If the guys need to get a shovel, if it isn't by the door, then they're climbing over things, and why they're not griping, I don't know.
They gripe.
Okay. Well, I haven't heard any griping, but if we have to get our lawnmower out, it's going to take about 20 minutes to move everything out of the way and then put everything back. I mean, when I went to look at our new paint sprayer, I took a picture and just started cracking up laughing. I was going to send it to everybody and say, does anybody see a problem with this? But I figured, nah.
And we're storing so much in there now. We have medical, the church, everything.
And,
I got pictures.
Well, I know. I got pictures, and I was going to send it and be kind of funny, mess with everybody. But, part of the expansion of town hall, to me, Public Works and the police department for them storing files. One, the police department could have a space in the town hall to store their files. Public Works could use twice the space they have and still have room for the church, because I have a feeling the church is going to be here a while with us giving out the food, because that's not going to go away to me anytime soon. That's a couple more years of that.
Yeah, the way they're going.
Yeah.
And the other thing, okay, go ahead, Ms. Turbeville. I'm sorry, you waited for
No, Tracy, I don't want to.
No, you waited for Betsy. You did let Betsy go first, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going back to our strategic plan from last July, and I would say that two of the things that we want to allocate these ARPA funds were high on our list. One was informational signage, and the other was flood mitigation. So this is great, because this is just like a boon to that. For whatever reason, we don't have on here upgrading town hall, maybe because I don't know why, but that's not.
We tried it and it didn't.
Yeah.
Go through, yeah.
We do have rec center upgrades on here. But I wanted to throw out two other things that come to mind that might be top of mind for us, since we can allocate these funds a little more freely. One is sidewalks. this is a dangerous town to walk around in on the street. Like, it is not safe for children and pets. And like, so I know we've got like a couple grants that are supposed to be coming in to start those projects, but if there are places around town that are particularly high traffic where we do not have sidewalks, I wonder if we want to think about using any of this funding for that.
Certainly an allowed expense.
Yeah. So Rod, I wonder if you might be able to like report back on like thinking through high traffic areas that would not be covered by what we're already supposed to get for the Safe Streets to School.
Yeah, one of the areas I'm going to bring to you, I would already have it on my list, is 47th Avenue to the park, so that you could walk from Decatur Street right on down to on the sidewalk to 47th Avenue Park. And the mayor has wanted to have as a priority lighting, additional lighting down that street for that purpose too. And so those two things and we tried to get a grant for the lighting. We weren't successful. And so those were two that I was going to bring to you on my list of trying to do. We're going to add sidewalks on Gallatin and Hamilton. So maybe we can do Lafayette would be another one, or the one street I didn't focus on at all was 49th Avenue. Maybe we need to take a look at there. But if we can get, just those streets, some of those streets would be helpful.
And we were also approached to see if we had any shovel-ready projects. So we did submit that to the State House, that we do have shovel-ready project, and that project was our sidewalks.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because we already have like a whole town plan for that, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the grant funds are already going to be dedicated to
Sidewalk.
52nd Crittenden Street, right?
Yeah. All this side of town. Remember, we have two grants. The one, the Safe Routes, which goes 52nd Avenue, Crittenden, and then we have 51st Emerson, 51st Place, and the rest of 52nd down to the rec center. So all of those will be happening this summer in terms of construction.
Okay.
Now, we're going
to
to have some meetings on that, because some of your neighbors, for instance, Sarah, don't want the sidewalks.
But they didn't want Crittenden either. And look how nice Crittenden is, how beautiful it is. So, yeah. Aren't you surprised some of your neighbors don't want sidewalks?
Their neighbors that are still here, because there's some neighbors that aren't here anymore. We'll save that for an offline conversation.
Yes.
Then the other thing I was looking at under infrastructure was a water spray park. And I just want to share my wild-haired idea real quick. Our summers are hotter, right? Like, we don't have any access to pools around, in our community. If you don't live in Fountain Park. And there is there's like a couple vacant lots in town that we might be able to purchase to do something like that. So I just wanted to.
Oh, so you're not talking necessarily by the rec center. You're talking other areas. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to put that out there and see what people think.
You just made him go into Thinksville. He's used to this with me, but now Sarah just did it for you.
Sorry, not sorry.
We were kind of thinking right there around the rec center, Elizabeth's Landing, but that's an idea. Sarah, that is I don't know. But I don't know where that would fall under ARPA funds though.
Yeah, you're getting tricky there, but again, yeah.
That's worse than trying to explain a town hall.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe not.
Part of the problem is it probably would wipe out the whole entire $1.5 million.
Would it to purchase the?
Well,
You have excavation to
it
do.
isn't so much the land as it is
For the plumbing,
yeah, the
concrete.
And what
And
would
then-
that do? Who's going to insure it?
That's the other. I love the idea, Sarah. I mean, the mayor and I and you have talked about this in the past, and I love the concept and the idea. But the more I've thought about it too, you know, it almost requires a staff person to manage it because people would abuse it. And then, like Betsy just said, the liability issue associated with it. It's one thing to just have a spraying going up in the air that you just walk through, or
I think that's what she's talking about. Or
No, I
even like a
know.
cooling station.
I know it. So it would really, yeah. I don't know.
It still would be an insurance nightmare because even if the spray goes straight up, if somebody slips
Yeah.
and gets
Yeah.
hurt, they're going to sue the town. And I've seen it at
Water parks.
there by the water park up. Well, even the little spray thing over at the plaza. I saw where a kid looked down and the water came up, him in the face, and next thing they were calling 911. You know, hit him in the eye, and he was crying. There was nothing wrong with that kid.
Well, I mean, playgrounds have a huge. I mean, you know,
I was going to
there's
say it's sort of like a playground.
yeah, it would be a playground, right? There's PG County has playgrounds all over the county where there's like a water, like
They
there's
do.
a spray park, a spray.
Walker Mill.
But I
Yeah.
guarantee you, they'll tell you that every one of them they have insurance on it.
Oh, absolutely. We would have to have insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think the insurance would be cheap on something like that because it's an attractive nuisance.
I think that we should, maybe not with ARPA funds, but I think it's something that we should look at because it's also an attraction for our community.
Right.
We don't have a lot of entertainment such as we have the go-kart track, but that would be, it would make us a destination in a sense.
I think
It's something we
talk
should
to
look
Park
at future.
I think that's something we should talk to Park and Planning about installing something like that. And that would make our rec building a little bit, it would stand out.
They may be able to add something like that on 47th, at the
Yeah.
47th Park.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they want to have a conversation with you about the rec center capital improvement funds. Maybe instead of building a futsal court,
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they build this
Yeah.
water park.
Yeah. Good thinking.
And then it's
Okay,
their
that was all I
liability.
had.
Yeah,
Okay,
then it's their liability.
As she turns off her mic. Just to show us that's all you had.
That's all I had.
That's all I have. That's all I have too, Mayor.
2 hours later.
The other thing that I wanted to do, and today Mr. Barnes said, well, you know, we might not be able to do it because, but the other thing I wanted to do was to assist a school, and I think we talked about this as well, continuously with a supply or certain supplies. You know, schools need wipes, they needed hand sanitizers, they may have needed masks, so on and so forth. I wanted us with the funds to be able to adopt a school to take care of. Initially, I was thinking Rogers Heights, but we always take care of them. And so I thought about the middle school, William Wirt. I even asked my granddaughter, so what do you need supplies? Oh yeah, my teacher needs wipes, my teacher needs hand sanitizers. And she even told us if we were to bring hand sanitizer, then she's gonna give us like a coupon for ice cream or Rita's or something like that. So that's how desperate, you know, paper towels, things like that. That's how desperate these schools are. And, you know, teachers are paying for supplies anyway, paper and so on and so forth. So I was thinking that maybe we could assist for an allotted amount of time. We're going to supply your hand sanitizer for the 6th grade or for 4 classrooms. And that would be consistent that we would have it shipped there. But Mr. Barnes told me some things that we can't do with that. But I thought that was and you can go ahead and jump in, but I thought that was a good idea to be able to assist the school.
We just can't duplicate. So if the school district got ARPA funds and whatever they're doing with those funds.
Yeah, we have to figure out what they did. Yeah.
We can't duplicate the funding for that. I don't know that the school district got them. The county obviously got ARPA funds. And so did they allocate a big share of their ARPA funds to the school district? Would be a question that we could research.
Yeah, I didn't hear it, but
yeah.
And I guess it would be us finding out what did they use those funds for? Did they use it to hire a staff member or something like that? Yeah.
I could ask Miss Janice and she can get me the answer probably right away. So yeah, okay, cool. I Betsy, I heard
what do you guys think of that?
We're coming down on almost 2 hours, and that's maximum time.
Oh, is it?
Maximum time.
Okay.
We don't want to go past that because we got next time
things to do. Yeah,
coming up. But great discussion and great input. Thank you from all.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Barnes, for that preview. That was beautiful, and all the input from Mr. Johnson, Ms. McCulley, and Ms. Tuberville. Thank you so much, and Chief, thank you.
Rod, you did great on the book. I did look through it earlier today.
Oh, good.
Thank you. It's great information.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, I'm trying to see what else has to happen here. Upcoming events.
Green Team is Thursday night. If any of you want to sign on, I sent out the link 6:30. Maggie and Jana are our co-chairs, and so hard telling what they'll bring up and just want to talk about. So we got some new folks joining and wanting to participate. We have a new garden, a new resident that's been here about a year, but they took on a garden box. So yeah, and then
Dumpster Day.
Dumpster Day is the 26th, and then don't forget next Tuesday, budget hearing again at 6:30.
Mm-hmm. So when are we talking about, did we say about having our residents come in did we set those dates? I know we briefly went over it.
We talked
the 22nd for some, when was
29th. 29th.
Was it 29th? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about bringing them in early for that. So it's a matter of how we get them to, how we get them here. Yeah. And then having something laid out for them. Say again, I'm sorry.
I said on our new sidewalks. That's how we'll get them.
We'll have virtual pizza.
Ooh.
Come on and have some virtual pizza. Okay. Well, that's all I have. Mr. Barnes, that's all you have, or any council member? Mr. Johnson, did you have anything?
No.
Okay, well, superb. All in favor for adjourning this meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Rod, for all your work on this.
Oh,
Yes.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate the questions and the feedback, and good. We'll keep moving forward.